Welcome to another Advisor Insight. Really chuffed this morning to have Dan Williams, financial planner with Morgan Williams up in Hull, a very long-standing and well-regarded business. 30 years old, Dan, I believe.
We are indeed, yes.
Yeah.
So it started by my father, who's one of the longest-standing firm principals in the area, and merged kind of back in the 80s with a couple of other firms, and he was the youngest, so the natural last man standing. So we're still going, still at the same premises, and really integrated now into the local community of all those years.
So for members who may not know you, and I know we've just been talking, and you've been an early supporter of Octo, so thank you very much for that. But for members who may not know you so well, can you give us a bit of background beyond what you've just said?
Okay, so I came into Morgan Williams ago about 6 years ago. I think father was very keen for me not to come straight into the business, from school, university. So I did a degree at Newcastle University in computer science, information systems. So very much at the business end of computing, before running a small business, working as an international headhunter. At that point, Dad thought I might have developed some skills that could be useful to the business. So came in about 6 years ago to the firm. Now, as a business, we've been through, I'd say, quite a significant business transformation project over the kind of past 5-6 years. It was started by colleagues James Evans and Alex Baker, who came into the business before me. And we moved from a company who we didn't take on any new clients for about 10 years. We were purely managing our existing client base, to the point where we are now growing and kind of actively recruiting new clients. So it's been a really good and kind of very interesting process to be involved in.
So a decade of not taking on new clients, that's quite a hiatus. There can't be many firms like that. Do you want to maybe expand on that?
Yeah, so as a firm, we've always been very focused on relationships. Our average client journey is probably 20-something years. That's coming down naturally as we're now bringing on new clients. But effectively, as the advisors at the time, they had a big enough client base so as to be able to support the clients properly, but without having to go out and bring on new clients. Now, I say no new clients. There were a few referrals, so naturally, if parents needed some help with the children needed some help and things like that, but we weren't actively recruiting kind of any clients over the period. I think the thing that changed was we increased our capacity, and we made the decision that you can either kind of stay as you are and naturally decline as the clients get older and sadly naturally pass away, or you can look towards the next generation. And it was that decision kind of bringing the younger blood into the business where we decided actually we're going to go again, which is something that Brett Davidson was very keen on at one of his conferences that we attended.
Yeah, Brett's a great friend to the app as well. I mean, I think pound for pound, he's pretty much the best writer and contributor in that space. So absolutely. Exactly. So the type of clients that you have then, is it a mixture? Is it private clients? Is it business? Is it a mixture of both?
Yeah, predominantly private clients. We do have some corporate clients. We very much focus on the pre-retirement type phase, although now that we have younger advisors as part of the team, we are bringing on younger clients and moving into the entrepreneur space. Seeing more and more people who have either business exit strategies over the longer term, but it's very much wealth management, kind of that side of things. We don't get involved with mortgages and that side of planning. It's just not something that we've done as a firm for years and years, and we feel we can add more value on the other side.
So do you want to expand a little bit on your financial planning beliefs then in the practice?
Yeah, so everything that we do focuses around client education. We have developed a strategy whereby we truly believe that if we educate clients and empower them with the knowledge to be able to make good decisions, then their financial journey ends up being a lot better. They end up making smarter decisions. They don't panic in the rough times. For example, in kind of the most recent market event, we ended up having one inbound call from the whole client base. And actually, we knew that call was coming, and I was minutes off dialing out. Because we think that if the client really understands the decisions they're making, whether that be risk, whether that be their true objectives, moving away from things like capital growth over the long term to getting really under the bonnet and understanding where they need to be, their decisions are more natural. They don't have the sleepless nights that they maybe otherwise would, because they understand that. They understand the process, and everything we do is very much focused on that education piece. We do use cash flow modeling tools. We use things like Timeline, and we use those in a way to help to educate the client. So say, for example, if we're talking about a client goal of growth for a specific reason or whatever it is, we can use Timeline to demonstrate where that would have been achievable historically, and also the types of events that could have occurred, which would then have required a change of strategy or a revision of the client goal. So it's trying to create a two-way conversation about planning. So instead of it being the old school, here's a stack of paper, have a read of it, and I've got the application form in my bag already. It's very much kind of new guard in terms of tongue in cheek, new guard in terms of really looking to help to bring the clients along the journey with us.
So I know you're very involved, an education champion with the PFS. How do you think that helps you day to day? So
my education journey has kind of naturally guided me into being an education champion. So back at university, I was the chairman of societies, and quite happily stand up and make a fool of myself in front of a few hundred people. Now, one thing at kind of university, you realise that people's financial education isn't as strong as it should be. So I had friends who, knew dad was a financial planner, and they'd come to me and say, look, I haven't paid the gas bill, and now I've got these letters coming through the post. What should I do? So it's kind of those types of experiences that again make you realize that financial education is a really important thing. So moving through and becoming a financial planner, and then having the opportunity not just to deliver financial education to secondary school children, but also now getting involved at the primary side. It impacts and it helps you to realize that behavior is something which is ingrained at such a young age. So I was listening a few years ago to it was a speaker talking about financial behaviors, and they said that effectively there's a certain period of years where people's financial habits are formed. And people who, say, for example, maybe lived through Second World War or have lived through that type of era, they're a lot more naturally guarded with their money. So we have clients who, we spend so much of our time saying, please go and spend some money, and they won't. And it's kind of understanding that it's these behaviors and these ingrained beliefs that come from such an early age, which then impact their financial planning. So that changes how we approach the subject. It changes how our conversations go with the individual, but it also gives us the ability to hopefully help shape some of the next generation to making smarter financial decisions, understanding, what debt is, instead of just thinking about, well, I can get this money now. Well, no, actually you're sacrificing your future earnings in order to get something today, and having those types of concepts. Now, if you help one person, maybe they go home and tell mum and dad, and maybe they go home and speak to auntie and uncle who have come across something and or through scams or whatever. There's all sorts of different areas of the education side. So I think it has an impact on our planning and our conversations. It has revolutionized the way that we approach kind of our delivery of advice. So everything is now, it's interactive. We use presentations, and the clients are very much part of the process, coming along the journey with us and things like that.
So thank you for that. That's really interesting. So just moving forward slightly, what do you think the profession, the financial planning profession, is doing well at the moment?
I've seen since I came in to the industry only 6 years ago, there's been a huge amount of change in the industry. And I think the biggest difference I can see is that advisors are aligning themselves a lot closer to their clients. So instead of, let's call it the bad old days, some people may call it something different, where it was very much a case of, you'd have the client, the advisor, and the provider, the life company probably at the time, and the advisor would probably sit slightly closer to the life company than they naturally would the client. I think that what we're doing really well is we genuinely care about our clients. We want to do the best that we can for them. I think as an industry, certainly with great things like Octomembers, you have the ability to inform yourself better, to expose yourself, through technology to different ways of thinking, to different practices, things like behavior and kind of that side of planning, but also to different technologies that you wouldn't necessarily have come across. So I think it's kind of a natural spiral that leads itself. The point where you align yourself with your clients and everything you do is trying to just achieve the best outcome for them, then everything else naturally falls into place. And I think as an industry, that's where we are at the minute. And I'm sure that there, firms that are further ahead of us on that journey, and I'm sure that firms that are still catching up to that way of thinking. But I think as a broad stroke generally across the industry, I think we really do care about our clients. And I think, and whilst we are genuinely being our clients' advocates, we won't go far wrong.
No, absolutely, and that's really demonstrable. That movement, I would say. So exactly. That's what we're doing well. What, apart from the obvious at the moment, because of the situation we all find ourselves in, what are the main headwinds that you see on the profession? So
I think if we phrase it as what can we do better, and just be kind of very open about it, I think advisors struggle with communication. The kind of throughout the pandemic, we have had clients approach us, and from very good firms in terms of the outcomes of the clients, and they said, I just haven't heard from my advisor. Now, I appreciate it's hard to get in touch with people. It's sometimes hard to communicate with people on a as regular basis as necessarily they would want. But I think as a profession, that's something that we need to get better at. We need to not just be be at the end of the phone for the clients to call us, but be really proactive in those communications. And I think that's kind of the one area that I've kind of really picked up, on recently.
So as we wander towards the end, then Dan, just a couple of my favourite questions. Throughout the sector or even beyond, who do you admire? Who do you think's doing a good job? Who's got, who gets you kind of fired up to do well?
Okay, so already mentioned Brett within this interview. We have done some work with Brett. I signed up to his Uncover Your Business Potential, kind of the online classes. Now, he has really inspired us to, when we talk about communication a second ago, that's something that he's absolutely brilliant at helping, me as an advisor and the firm to understand that people communicate differently, and there are different forms of communication. There's different methods of doing it, and it's really about tailoring that to your clients. I like people who challenge the norm as well. So Abraham at Timeline, he's very vocal at really challenging, and so the people like that in the industry. And then kind of on the behavior side, Morgan Housel, and I think there's so many different influences, and that's such a great thing to be, through technology, to be able to be exposed to all these people on a regular basis, because it challenges our thinking.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that we can do is assume what we're doing today is the right thing. We should always be kind of looking to drive forward and change and make our processes better. So I think having good partners like Brett, Abraham, and others, I think it's vital to the industry and vital to us as a firm.
In terms of growth, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So, final question: your own personal kind of business belief or personal mantra. What would you have kind of running through you like a stick of Brighton Rock?
So kind of, you see on kind of Twitter handle, what I say is every day I try to make a fundamental and positive impact to my clients, the industry, and also to my own knowledge. That has to be, so what I really believe is we do need to educate our clients better. So everything that we do as planners, we have so much knowledge. If we can get that over to our clients in a way that empowers them to make better decisions, then that's a fantastic thing. But kind of like there's the carrot, there's also the stick, and the stick isn't, I'm not talking about using that on clients. I think that we need to, as an industry, lobby our government and whatever government that is at the time, to try and protect our consumers and our clients better. There is so much in the industry by way of financial scams and things like that. I think that we need to, and something that very ingrained in my belief is trying to protect people as much as we can. And that doesn't always mean our clients, it can be kind of the wider field. So educate and protect.
Great, thank you. What a great way to end. Dan, I'd like to say a big thank you from Octo for agreeing to take the time, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, Lee. Take care. All the best.
And you, take care.